Louie Gohmert was giving a speech on the House floor about Israel and Palestine, and then out of the blue, he said something crazy even by his standards.
In Israel right now, there is a battle for peace in Israel. They are being embattled by a group who teach their children in the educational materials we help pay for to hate Jews, to hate Israelis. They teach the people to hate Israelis as well. They name streets and holidays after people who kill innocent people. It's time to cut off every dime of American money going to anyone who has any kind of relationship with Hamas, those killing in the Middle East, and especially in Israel. It's time to bomb Iran's nuclear capabilities. It's time for the United States, if we're not going to stop Iran's nukes, then let Israel do it.
Where the fuck did that come from? He's going on about Palestine and Gaza and Israel, and then there's Hamas, and there's this, and there's that, and bomb Iran. Dude, where did that come from? That's not part of the conversation. But see, this is how you know Louie Gohmert is a fucking dunce. Other than, of course, everything else he's ever said in his life, is that he doesn't even bother to make a segue. He doesn't even bother to create a logical connection from point A to point B. He's like, let me tell you, these Palestinians teaching people to hate Jews, and which is why we need to bomb Iran. What? And also, are we really just going to brush over the fact here that he just called for war? Casually, nonchalantly, in the middle of a conversation. It's like, yeah, let's start a war. How about that? Isn't that a great idea? You know, it's not like we didn't just blow $7 trillion in Iraq, and we didn't just blow a tremendous amount of money in Afghanistan and lose precious young American men and women and kill over 200,000 civilians just in Iraq, and it's not like we're already too militaristic. Just bomb Iran and start another war. Yes! Here's my question about Republicans. Have they ever cared even a little bit about any polling data? Never, right? Never. I mean, what were the numbers? It was, I think 19% of the country was like, yeah, get involved in Syria. So the rest were like, huh? Syria who? Fuck that. Don't you dare get involved. And all the Republicans were like, yeah, let's get involved. Let's fight in Syria, even though 19% agree with us. By the way, it's a similar number that still want to be in Afghanistan. And all the Republicans are like, yes, stay there forever. It's great. Afghanistan right now is more unpopular than Vietnam was at its most unpopular point, which is fucking unpopular. And all the Republicans are like, no, yes, war. We just like war. Gets our dicks hard, our tiny little peckers. Look, man, they have to stop. They have to stop. Now, it gets even more disgusting and grotesque than just these surface things that we're discussing, because what this proves, other than his stupidity, which we know, is his ignorance. Because, dude, you're a congressman. You should be up on the news. You should be up on the facts. You should be up on what's happening in the world. And you are helplessly ignorant about this. So what do I mean? A UN report from February of this year, quote, Iran is complying with nuclear agreement. But Kyle, that was a long time ago. What are you talking about? You can't just go based off that. Yeah, that's a good point. Interesting. Let's see how it's... UN report and the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency report in May of 2014, quote, Iran cut uranium stockpile and is complying with nuclear agreement. You have to understand something. Not only are they complying with this temporary intermediate nuclear agreement that we already made with them, not only are they complying, according to the UN and the IAEA, they're not making a nuclear weapon, and they never wanted to make a nuclear weapon, and they never did make a nuclear weapon. In fact, according to them, you know, the people that were actually in there doing the fucking hard work to figure out what's going on and do the inspection and the regulations, according to them, you know what they found out? That all the enrichment that they're doing in Iran is and has always been purely for their energy grid. For, you know, that thing called electricity, I think it's called. in order for them to have a decent standard of living, which, by the way, they're also allowed under international law and treaties and agreements. They're totally allowed to have nuclear power as long as it's for that purpose, which is what it's for. But in the U.S., we have pure propaganda all over the place. They say, no, they're enriching uranium to make a bomb, but they're not doing that. That's totally fabricated, 100% fabricated. Did you know Hassan Rouhani, the president in Iran, he's been on the record from before he was elected and after he was elected. He did an interview with U.S. media where he says, heads up, we have no plans and we don't want a nuclear weapon. Why? Because, look, they're afraid. They think, well, if we create a nuclear weapon, then the U.S. is going to come in here and topple our government. And they don't want that to happen. Which, by the way, what an irrational fear of theirs, because we only did that exact thing in 1953. We went in there and we toppled a democratic government. Mohammad Mossadegh was the leader. Toppled his ass and put in a dictator named the Shah, who would help out our corporate interests over the people of Iran. So they have a reason to hate us. They're more reasonable on this issue than I would be if I was in control of Iran. I would probably want a nuclear weapon for protection against the United States of America because they've meddled in our affairs so much anyway. But they're complying and they're doing the right thing, and they literally couldn't have done any better and been more in compliance with the U.S. as they have been. But we still have idiots like Louie Gohmert out there like, nuke them, bomb them, fuck it. Go after them, man. We just got to bomb it, just start a war for no reason, even though they're listening to us. What a joke you are. What a pathetic loser you are. Read the news. Read the UN report. Read stuff from the IAEA. Learn something. Learn something. But he embraces his ignorance, and it's so sad to watch. And the last thing I'll say here, just real quick, in regards to his, pure hatred for the Palestinians and pure adoration for the Israelis. Very balanced, might I say. Yeah, you know what, Louie, you're right. In Gaza, sometimes some extremists do teach kids to hate Jews. That's certainly true. But you know what else happens? In Israel, a lot of extremists teach Jews to hate Palestinians. Absolutely. Absolutely. We covered a story the other week. Ayelet Shaked, a Israeli female politician, called for genocide of the Palestinian people. Okay, never mind the article yesterday in the Wall Street Journal that said Gaza civilians shouldn't count as civilians. They're not civilians. So don't tell me, it's so much extremism on their side, just their side, just their side, just their side. Look, I'm rational and I'm objective. I'm willing to admit there's a lot of extremism in Hamas. There's a lot of extremism in Gaza, for sure. A lot of religious extremism, too, which is horrible. A lot of propaganda, which is horrible. Absolutely. I condemn the fuck out of that. But you know what else I condemn? The exact same practices, or equally as bad practices, that come out of Israel and come out of their side as well. Are you willing to condemn that, Louie Gohmert? I didn't think so. Your silence is deafening.